Do a little quick audio check. Just do a quick audio check, make sure that I'm coming through loud and clear. We should be good on that front. All quiet. Be good with your microphone. We are good on that front. Audio's coming up perfect, clear and loud. Welcome everyone to RFL round number 19, which brings us to the... Let's turn that down a little bit now because that's fine. Brings us to the Autodromo Nazionale Monza, round number 19, reverse grid, final reverse grid race of the season, where obviously championship order of the drivers here gets reversed. Obviously no qualifying for this, so just a 5-lap race as per normal, and then we will have the action from the 50%er, 27 laps around this circuit. Obviously a very fast flowing circuit. The Monza circuit, turns 1 and 2, obviously you slow it down from just around 200, between 210 and 220 miles an hour into turns 1 and 2, the very Variante del Rettifiglio, and then on to the Curva Grande, turn number 3, the long sweeping right-hander, down towards the end of the first sector, which is the Variante della Rogge, turns 4 and number 5, and then into the two Lesmos, and after that turn 6 and turn 7, very easy to run wide and invalidate your lap right there, as well as on the exit of the Variante della Rogge. And then on to the next straight, where we will see people probably going down and following probably most likely in the Curva del Serigilio. I think that's correct. Someone can pronounce that if I'm wrong on that one. And then after that we head into the end of the second sector and into the Variante Ascari, 8, 9 and 10. Very short number of corners on this track, only 11 corners as we go out there down the straight, where you'll probably see drivers sitting behind trying to duke it out for drivers behind and trying to give a false sense of security into making drivers go for moves so they can get the DRS. And to the final corner, the Parabolica, I'm always going to refer to it as that one, the long sweeping right-hander. As final corner is going to then head up the track, where one of the two DRS zones is going to be, the other one I believe is on the Curva del Serigilio, between turn 7 and turn 8. Could potentially see moves into the Curva Grande as well. Obviously Monza, a very traditional circuit in terms of how long it's been around on the F1 calendar. I believe it is one of the oldest on the calendar, alongside the British Grand Prix, in terms of hosting a race every single year since 1950. And spiritual home of the Tifosi, the maniacal fans of the Ferrari team, which is going to be, hopefully, that can give some support to Angelo, the only Ferrari that is currently here at the moment, as I believe we are still waiting for people to arrive. But they will be giving their cheers to the Italian in the Italian car, obviously running a special helmet. Will be interesting to see how that goes down. With that, obviously, we've seen how special liveries and special helmets do actually go sometimes. They can either do well for you, or they sometimes cannot. But we will come off of that screen and we will go to the championship standings while we wait, obviously knowing the fact that reversed championship standings for those who are here. Vapid leads, obviously, after a good showing last time out in, I believe it was Canada. Yes, it was. Vapid leads the standings with Scott obviously obviously the DNF for Scott not ideal for the Haas driver. He'll be looking for improvements here in the one of two Italian circuits we've had on the RFL calendar this season. He is currently down on points. He's on 159.5 points to Vapid's 194. At the moment, Vapid looking like he could maybe potentially seal the championship in the next few rounds if Scott continues to disappoint with his results in the Haas. Angelo in third, 122.5 points. Does have Tom Gorey, not too for company, so the battle for third place is still on between those two. Then it is his teammate TM Kirby, then the other Alpine, 100.5 points in fifth place, with Sora bearing down. Obviously, we've not seen Sora for a lot of the season. He's been here and there, but in the Mercedes, he's going to be starting from near the back as well because of where he is in the standings. We know that Vapid will be starting in the back alongside Scott. It will be interesting to see how some of these drivers do tend to do with the reverse grid. 5-lapper, obviously not a lot of time to really make up places in the race. They will have to be potentially a little bit more aggressive, so could see some more aggressive moves from them. Checo in P6 for 87 points. Obviously, then we have to go down to Shut Medal, P10. We've seen a little bit less consistent from him after his initial good few races in the league. In P10, he's on 74 points. We jump up a few spots, but he'll be starting in about the mid-pack. Only got 9 drivers at the moment, I believe. We're potentially still waiting for more drivers, who knows. Then the next driver we're going to was Cal. We know left some point in the season with wheel issues. He is not here at the moment. I believe he's got some issues with transport, so he potentially may be here at some point. He may not. And obviously we've got a few other names. A lot of names sort of haven't really been here, but we do know that it's going to be, obviously with the reverse grid, it's going to be XCR Senna on pole position, with, I believe it is Button who's going to be starting alongside him. So the father and son team will be interesting to see how they go. And obviously Senna still learning with the games. It's going to be interesting to see how he gets on his first ever front row start. Do expect him to drop back a little bit, but to get a decent finish result for the young Mercedes driver. Constructors, this one is a lot more of a tight affair for the drivers going into it. We have Williams at 229 points, and I believe Williams do have one driver here this week. That is Vapid, so fresh, not here this week, the American. Alpine, obviously with both drivers here this week, 218.5 points. Tom Gordon and Kirby will be looking to get as many points as possible out of the sprint and feature race to try and put pressure on Vapid there, as I believe Cal has just managed to get himself in the session, so we'll get him into the set party just now. Very good. There we go. We'll probably hear his dulcet tones in about a minute or so. Haas on in third, 174.5 points. Is Alfa Romeo on fourth, 152. Aston Martin on 145.5 points. Mercedes 141.5. Obviously, Sora, knowing he's a very quick driver, could potentially jump Aston Martin this weekend in the constructors with a decent result. Ferrari in 735.5 points. Angelo carrying that team this season, with Red Bull in 8th, AlphaTauri in 9th, and McLaren in 10th. So if you have your audio included, Gal, so everyone can hear your beautiful voice. Obviously, we know you had a few issues with transport, but you have managed to make it. Welcome. He's not got his headset in yet. Just have to wait a second until he's got that connected.
Thank you. Yeah, just about made it, and yeah, I think we're almost ready to go.
Yep. Low field number tonight. Obviously, we know that Monza is it's a DRS train track. We're going to see a lot of that for this race. How do you reckon the drivers are going to get round this issue? Anyway, by the way, welcome Cal as well for this round.
Thank you.
But how do we reckon the drivers are going to get around the potential DRS train problem?
Yeah, that is going to be an issue that we're most likely going to be able to see in this race that we're going to have. Obviously, with the reverse championship grids we've got for this round, that's potentially going to close the field up even more. So, yeah, expect to see a lot of DRS potential overtakes as well, and yeah, a lot of action into the first corner.
Obviously, the main batch of your overtaking is going to be down towards the Variante del Rettifilo, obviously turns 1 and turns number 2, but it's going to be because obviously the back straight down towards Parabolica, you're not going to be wanting to make moves, because that's going to mean that the drivers in front of you are going to be able to, or behind you rather, are then going to get DRS straight back. It's all about making sure that you play your cards right, really.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're pretty much gonna see that back straight before the parabolica is gonna be a bit of a setup for the pit straight release. So yeah, don't expect too many overtakes into the parabolica, but who knows? Maybe I could be wrong on that one, and we see lots of action. Who knows? But yeah, it's gonna be intriguing for us to see.
I mean, a lot of other places as well where cars can go side by side as well. I'm thinking the Curva Grande and potentially a little bit maybe side by side action in the into the second Lesmo and into the long straight just before the Ascari where we were seeing the other DRS straight on this track. But that one I would feel is a lot less of a DRS overtaking zone unless you're within, I believe, about 3/10 or less.
Yeah, that's very true. There's obviously it's much less of a braking zone than you've got into turn one, so that can also play into a factor as well as to possibly waiting for that DRS zone down the main straight, or if a driver might be a little bit more impatient, they might just want to get the job done as soon as possible and then hope that they can maybe pull away down the back straight.
Potentially, it looks like we're getting underway quite quickly here, so obviously everyone is ready for the action to take place. But obviously, one big thing and coming into this race, we know that any break in the DRS train at all is going to cause a huge amount of concern and a lot more ERS usage for whoever that person ends up being the lead over that particular train. But it's definitely going to be interesting now, so we're going to go straight into the action with, I believe it is Shut Metal who's actually on pole position. I thought it was going to be someone else. It is going to be indeed, this is Button actually who was on the pole position with his son right alongside. His son's actually got a decent start here. They go side by side in towards turn one. It looks like there's a lot of action further behind as well, and Senna's immediately dropped down to second. Angelo trying to go round the outside. That's a little over optimistic from the Ferrari driver. He's going to drop down the field behind TM Kirby. We've got Checo as well, looking behind as well. He's going to go side by side with Angelo here, down towards Curva Grande. One of the places you can potentially make moves. It's going to be Angelo up the inside with Checo on the outside. He's going to go round the outside though. Good. Oh, a little bit late on the good move there from Tom Gorian. He's up towards P5, and Scott has got past Checo as well. So not a good start from the Aston Martin driver.
Yeah, Checo's dropped down to P8, losing multiple positions there, and also Sora down in P9 at the back. He did not have a good start, and I saw a little bit of weaving from him as well, so he's possibly a little bit frustrated at someone or something.
Indeed. He's still stuck behind Checo at the moment, so he's not been able to make the move stick yet. Obviously DRS will be for the last 2 laps of the lap 3 and onwards. Sora still stuck behind at the moment, but TM Kirby, I believe, is about to make a move on Senna for second place. Senna struggling a little bit for pace. Obviously we know Senna's not the quickest driver here. He's probably going to have to use a lot of the battery here, but there is Button at the moment pulling away up front in the Alfa Romeo. But here comes Angelo up the inside, and that's going to devote Senna off the podium. So he's down to 4th at the moment, but he's still holding on at the moment. But he does have Tom Gorian for company up next behind him.
Yeah, that is very much true, and it's very close. Oh!
Scott, that was over-optimistic from you there, sir.
Yeah, I was going to say it was close between Sora and Checo going into the first chicane there, but it seems that Sora has managed to get P8 here.
TM Kirby goes side by side with Angelo as they go into the Del Roge chicane in towards the Lesmos, but Kirby does come out second best out of that, and the Ferrari driver is up to P2.
Yeah, very much. Oh, that's a Mercedes round and into the wall.
That's Senna out.
That's very unfortunate.
That's unfortunate there. So from second on the grid, he's not going to be able. Obviously, it was going to be a difficult ask for him to score points. Obviously, with some of the caliber of drivers that are indeed in the race, but unfortunate there for him that that's his day already done on lap 2.
Yeah, at least he does have the main race to try and make up for it, as it's side by side between Scott and Sora now. That's
the wrong car. There we go. Got the right car now. So they're still side by side in towards Parabolica. Sora's going to get the better run round the outside. It's going to be Sora using the RS a little bit to get up the inside. Scott, meanwhile, saving a little bit of the battery for just now as Button still continues to lead. 3 seconds the gap. And I think Senna has done the job there for Button. They really just managed to pull away. He's held up the cars behind. And Angelo doesn't seem to have the pace at the moment.
Yeah, he's got Kirby in the Alpine right behind as well, and yeah, a little bit of a DRS train with pretty much most of the fields really in this train here. So it's going to be as to whether he's able to hold on to that second place.
Indeed. Meanwhile, Kirby is still keeping himself in touch. A little bit of lag there off of the car there, but obviously we know Kirby's from America, so that does tend to happen with the servers being a little bit weird in this game sometimes. Meanwhile, Sora on the back of Vapid. Vapid looking to try and keep hold of 5th place at the moment. Sora looking to take that 5th place off of him. We're looking at the back view at the moment of Vapid, and he is currently he's got Sora all over him, and he's using a little bit of the battery here. He's going to allow Sora up the inside potentially. He may well break before the actual DRS zone does indeed come up. It could be a little bit of a wily fox tactic here from Vapid. They're still side by side as they head into the Parabolica, and I believe he's going to have it. However, I think that he's got the DRS. No, I think he didn't get the DRS. That's good tactics there from Vapid. He's going to go back up the inside into turn 1. You got to be careful here not to overshoot in towards turn number 1. You can keep a move around the outside here, around the outside of turn number 1 and into turn number 2, and indeed he does keep hold of it.
Yeah, and we also had Kirby having a little bit of a look up the inside of Angelo in the Ferrari into turn 1, but the Alpine of Kirby did think a bit better to make the move, as he was just that little bit too far back on that occasion there.
Indeed, now it looks like Sora is starting to pull away a little bit. Meanwhile, we have the two Alpines getting close to each other. I wonder if there's going to be... because obviously these two are fighting for the Constructors' Championship between the two of them.
Yeah, that's very
What
much
would
true.
your words of wisdom be between these two? Obviously, knowing the fact that any kind of contact is going to cause issues here.
Yeah, I'd probably be saying don't fight each other too much, because that's just going to hold each other up there. But it does look like Tom's had a better run out of the Sky Chicane, and is it going to be side by side into the Parabolica?
Oh, there's a little bit of lag coming off of Kirby's car there, but look at Kirby. He has absolutely no deployment in comparison to what Tom Goring does here. I believe he's using it though. He's not making this easy for his teammate. He's going to have no battery left as they go across the line. He has no deployment left. Tom Goring to the outside and the other Alpine. There's normal Jinx in the session now, so he's going to be interesting to see how he gets on, as it looks like he had issues connecting with the lobby earlier on. Tom Goring, they go side by side. The two Alpines do not make contact. That is going to cost Kirby a place to his teammate a place to Sora. Sora to try and get the final point. Tom Goring's going to squeeze him. That's a little bit naughty there. I'm not sure he quite had his car right alongside, but whoa, a little bit of a moment there. Kirby trying to get back up the inside. Sora does, however, still keep hold of 4th place at the moment, with Vapid still just behind.
Yeah, and will all this potentially allow Angelo in the Ferrari to maybe pull away from this battle of cars as well?
Indeed, as we still have Vapid looking at the back of this group. I mean, this must be frustrating for Vapid, because he needs to gain points here, and he's currently not gained any points. But to note that Tom is only going to get one out of this particular race for third place.
It's going to be round the final corner for Button, and he's going to win this sprint race.
Hardly even noticed him. He was just he did his own thing. Obviously the reverse grid kind of takes a little bit of surprise out of obviously the reverse championship order, but indeed it's the Alfa Romeo who wins the first race and picks up the maximum 3 points, and I believe that is the first time he will start on pole for the main feature race.
Yeah, he's done a decent job. He got the leads on the first lap, and yeah, he managed to build that bit of a gap, and he's won the sprint race.
Indeed, so it's going to be Button who wins the sprint race from what was pole position, I believe, helped by Senna, obviously giving a little bit of help, unintentionally, to his to the older in the family. But it was Angelo who came second. Obviously, he had him in a fight with Tom Goring, probably near towards the end, but Angelo did hold on to the result of 2 points for second, and it will be Tom Goring who picks up the final place. But I wonder if Kirby will feel a little grieved that he was kind of crowded out a little by his teammate.
Yeah, and possibly. Obviously, don't really know what he'll be thinking, but yeah, he'll definitely be wanting to try and gain some of those places back in the main race.
Yep. So the Alfa Romeo driver Button wins the sprint race, so picks up maximum 3 points. Angelo finishes in second, picks up 2 from 7th on the grid. Good start from him. He'll be start alongside, and then in the second row it will be Tom Goring and Sora. So maybe some bad blood between those after Sora was crowded a little bit down towards Curva Grande. Who knows? Then it'll be Kirby and Vapid. Vapid not in the best position there, starting from P6. Then it is Scott with a slightly ambitious move in towards turn 1, which did pick him up a 2-second time penalty alongside Checo in 8th, and then it's XCRSN, obviously the only DNF, and he will start from P9 on the grid. But obviously that is 27 laps ahead for the drivers. Obviously only 9 people in the race, so probably less chance for safety cars. But how do we see this race panning out?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, that's for sure. I think we'll be seeing a lot of the drivers running very, very low downforce indeed. Possibly even the minimum downforce. So that is going to be interesting to have a look if indeed we do get a dry session. But yeah, we've obviously had some memorable wet sessions in the past, obviously with the Circuit of Monza being Sebastian Vettel's maiden victory.
2008, I believe that was in the Toro Rosso, which I think to this day remains Toro Rosso's only victory.
Yeah, well, was
it, or is that
Pierre
Pierre Gasly as
Gasly?
well? Well, yeah, I think Pierre
Well,
Gasly did add one to it. You're correct on that.
was it called Alpha Tauri at that time?
It was Alpha Tauri,
Yeah.
yes.
Same team basically, but different name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe different engines at the time as well, but not entirely sure now. But going back, obviously, Monza's a track. You've raced this probably in a few games yourself, but do you have any sort of memorable moments from yourself that you've actually had along the way?
That is, let me think. Do I have any memorable moments? My mind's a little bit blank.
Here.
I'm not gonna lie, my mind's a little bit blank at the moment. I do. I do remember leading a race for a bit. So I guess I could say that for a memorable moment.
Leading for a bit.
Yeah, I didn't quite win it, but I was leading for a little bit, so I'll take that. But yeah, apart from that, I can't think of anything else at the moment. I'm sorry to say.
Fair enough. As I say, I've got a few good battles, but nothing really does stand out in terms of like one particular favourite. I believe we actually have 2 more drivers actually in, so we actually have 11 drivers now. We've had SFR Finns, New Zealander, and Normal Jinx, who's went in the Williams. So, he's in the McLaren. And then we obviously have Finns in the Red Bull. Obviously no points from Red Bull in the first race, and no points from McLaren. But to come back also to the Constructors' Championship, obviously at the moment is still very close with, I think it's only about 4 rounds left to go in the Championship between Williams and Alpine. I'm just going to have a quick old look and see how many races we do actually have left. So we have to come, I believe it is USA, so USA at Kota to come up, Baku, Belgium and Jeddah to finish off the season. 4 rounds left after this. How this is going to be interesting. How do you reckon the Constructors' Championship is going to go down?
I think we may still have a battle on. Potentially, if results go a certain way. We've obviously got Williams on top at the moment, but we do have Alpine not too far behind. So if they can potentially get a double point scoring finish here, who knows what's going to come in the last few rounds.
Absolutely. As it looks like we have Vapid who has readied up, so it looks like we are going to go into the action again for 27 laps of racing around this circuit. Going to be curious to see the approach of particularly Button. Obviously, we haven't seen him much at the front. We know he's got some pace behind him, but it's going to be, how do you reckon he'll approach this race going into it?
Um, I think it'll be. I think it will be a fair bit of defending. If he does want to like stay in that sort of position, but yeah, obviously we never know what can happen in a race, and yeah, maybe we'll see a gap at the front. Maybe it's going to be a big battle. Yeah, who knows really?
Yes. Obviously, I believe it's not the longest run to turn one, but it's long enough where you can make moves around the inside or the outside. Obviously, we've seen, I mean, if we're talking about real life, obviously the spectacular crash by Liuzzi when he was in the HRT in 2011, which took out, I believe, about 4 cars at turn one. Obviously, I've never seen anything like that in the game as of recently, or anything in the last few games, but you can very easily get it wrong in towards turn one. It's just going to be interesting to see how the drivers approach, the sort of the approach lines they take towards turn one.
Yeah, it's also it can be easy to miss the chicane as well. For in a lockup maybe, or just missing the braking zone as well. So be interesting to see if that does happen at any point as well. So yeah,
Indeed. As we are just loading up, obviously, strategy now takes a lot more.
oh,
Oh,
it's raining. Whoa,
okay. This
that
is
is
going to make stuff a
interesting.
lot more interesting.
Yeah.
So, I'd like to be able to see what tires people have decided. It's intermediates. So, I don't know how many people would have practiced for these conditions. We don't even know how long they're going to last for. So, obviously now, low wings go out of the question at the moment for the time being until the weather does clear up. But this is a very different approach to it.
Yeah, we may, depending on how long the weather's gonna last, we may see some people potentially convert to a wet setup, or maybe some people also risking staying on their original dry strategies as well. So that could mix things up, mix things up a little bit here.
Who knows? It's definitely going to be an interesting one now that obviously DRS is not going to be a factor in these initial laps, depending on how long this rain lasts for. Obviously, it's just going to be purely down to slipstream. Do you reckon people will compromise on setups, knowing that it could potentially drop nearer towards the end, or do you reckon that this could be for the entire thing?
I do reckon if the forecast does tell the drivers that it does drop, I do reckon we will see some of the fields sticking with their dry setups, because in the dry, low downforce gains you a lot of time and a lot of overtakes as well. It can help you with. So yeah, I expect to see at least some drivers stick to their dry setups. But yeah, who knows how long the weather's actually gonna stay for?
Indeed. It's obviously looking at those skies, it is very cloudy at the moment, so that rain does not look like it's going to shift anytime soon. And when you go into a race like this, your mindset does change a lot. Obviously, you've done a fair few wet races yourself. Does it? You've obviously, if you've done any sort of dry route running, and then you've seen the weather forecast, say if it's wet conditions, what was normally your thinking going into it, into the race?
Um, Usually for me it's keep the car in a straight line and hope I don't crash. But yeah, for other drivers it's going to be more of a sort of aggressive thoughts, I guess you could say. In terms of drivers are going to want to go for all the overtakes, go as obviously as fast as they can, and yeah, obviously there's going to be, I think, still a lot of action as well.
Indeed, obviously, spray is going to play a huge factor in these conditions. Obviously, knowing the fact that the car in front is going to kick up a lot of spray behind, and probably reduce the vision that you're going to have yourself, obviously going in towards corners. And it's going to be interesting to see how the drivers do. Obviously, we've had a few wet races this season, and RFL, I've noticed the races sometimes the rain does tend to go quite quickly. I wonder if the same thing will happen today.
Yeah, I do remember. Can't remember what circuit it was, but it was one of the races I was racing in, and the forecast was wet for most of the race, and then a little bit of a dry patch. But it ended up that the weather dried up pretty quickly, maybe a third of the way into the race. So I think
It might have been Paul Ricard, I don't know.
maybe a different one because I think that was one of the races I wasn't able to make. So I think it was. I can't remember, but anyway, it was a race I put my wet setup on, and it just didn't work for me at all. So yeah, I do think we will see some drivers on a wet setup, but I do also think there'll be drivers sticking with a dry setup as well.
For the ones on their dry setups, it's going to be a little bit more of a sketchy affair in terms of rear traction. And it's all going to be about, as you say, keeping the car on the straight and narrow, and short shifting is going to be a helpful thing. I mean, I think that's something you found, which was a helpful thing, was short shifting in these conditions to stop rear traction and rear wheel spin.
Yeah, that definitely does help. Obviously because especially in the lower gears, it's just so easy to just put your foot too much down on the throttle, or of course, if you're on a controller, it'll be your finger on the accelerator. But yeah, it's very easy to lose the car, and yeah, it is always tricky conditions in the wet.
Indeed, obviously we know that everyone's starting in intermediate, so that takes any kind of strategy completely out of the equation. But obviously in these conditions, if it does dry up, no tyre regulations, so it could be interesting if it does dry up to see what people do indeed decide to go on.
Yeah, it could. It throws the door wide open in terms of strategy because you could go for example, two sets of mediums or one set of hards or a set of softs and a set of mediums. There's potentially more options for strategy if the weather does indeed dry up pretty quickly.
Indeed, as I think Checo's had some issues again on the formation lap. I've seen him lag out a couple of times so far. To note also, I've realised that even though he runs with a Mexican flag, I believe he is actually American. Checo. I think that is actually what I was told by Kirby when we were having a chat. There we go, he's back in the lobby again. So that's interesting to note. But for Button here, obviously some of the pressure has been lifted a little bit for him, knowing the fact that the car spine won't have DRS and it's all going to be purely on ERS.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, it does put that pressure off him, as you say, but it has also it's made it sort of easier for him to throw that away, if that makes sense, in terms of one mistake could prove costly. But that is the same for every driver, so yeah, it's going to be a very interesting race indeed.
As we are coming up, obviously a very quick formation lap, obviously very short laps around this track. As we we will have the action getting underway very soon as the drivers get their final tyre heat in and form up on the grid boxes. Everyone looking like they're forming up fine at the moment, looking like no one has had any issues forming up on the grid. Everyone got the good slots they are looking for, as we will soon pretty much have the action underway, as the action will be soon underway, as I believe the lights are indeed going to be coming on just sometime shortly. The lights, I need a good camera angle, game. 5 red lights and it's lights out and away we go. Looks like a decent start from Angelissimo in towards turn number 1. Looks like a decent start from Tom Gorian as well, as it looks like I think Kirby's lost a position to Checo in the position for 7th place. It looks like Angelo's already got up the inside. That's Tom Gorian. I don't know why it's still on Tom Gorian. This is a bit of a bug there. Thank you very much, Codemasters, for that. Tom Gorian meanwhile now, it looks like Button is already struggling for pace in towards turn number 1, into the I believe towards the end of the first sector. Looks like he's already struggling for pace a little bit here, as it looks like Sora's soon going to be all over him as well. It looks like he's keeping on the back at the moment, but Sora has...
oh, that's a mistake from Tom, and he's in the gravel. That is not good for the Alpine driver, and he's down to 6th behind Vapid.
Yep. Tom Gorian has been a little fragile this season in terms of not being able to always commit good positions into good results. Obviously Monaco being a very good indication of that. It looks like Finns and Checo as well at the back are going side by side. Looks like Finns has got the move done in towards P8 into P9 through Ascari, but it looks like Checo is trying to come back at him. They're going to go side by side in towards the Parabolica. Is anything going to happen here between the two of those drivers? Nope, Finns does keep hold of his position at the moment, with Senna just behind them.
Yeah, very much so, and it is side by side. It looks like down the straight, and yeah, it is.
Yep. Sora getting past, but the button's still around the outside. Sora looking to get second place.
Vapid and Tom Gorian, but not quite, as Tom just about thinks better of it and will try and look for a better
and Jinx as well, side by side, coming down towards Curva Grande just behind. He's managed to get the move done on Finns. Oh, I think Finns was trying to get the move done on Jinx rather, and Jinx has just held on the position.
Yeah, that is very true. We saw some very good pace from Finns last time out in Canada, and it was Scots there just having a look at XR button. But yeah, it was a good race from Finns last time out, getting through the field pretty well, and he'll be hoping to do something similar this time out here at Monza.
Indeed. Scott meanwhile is now lining up the move, or thinking about lining up. Sora meanwhile, the gap is about 2 seconds to himself and Angelo. Angelo currently leading here in his backyard effectively, because the Italian in an Italian car, the Tifosi will obviously be cheering him on here to do well here, as meanwhile Kirby and Jinx go side by side. Kirby loses position to Jinx, but Angelo, the pressure's probably, even though he's absolutely no title hunts whatsoever, there's a lot of pressure there.
Yeah,
looks like, I believe.
Yeah, I was just looking at Tom Gorian there, and he is now side by side with
Kirby.
Vapid.
That was a big slide coming out the final corner. Looks like as well Rapid is going to...
As also Scott has a look at XCR button, but he's not quite made the move yet. Yeah, going back on to the topic of Angelo and at his home race effectively. Yeah, he has not yet won a race this season and will be desperate to try and keep a hold of this first position as Scott takes P3.
Indeed. It looks like Vapid was trying to come back at Tom Gorian as well. Looks like Tom Gorian's fell out of DRS from button in front at the moment. That's not going to be helping his case. He needs to get himself back into DRS and see if he can get ahead, because he does not need that, as there's a yellow. Sora's out! Oh, that is a big crash. That's going to be a safety car.
Yep. And
how is that not a safety car?
A virtual safety car.
No, it is full now.
Oh,
it is full.
It is full, yep.
Sora, that's a big accident for him. I think he's lost it on the curb.
Yeah, I didn't quite catch it there, but yeah, it has maybe looked like that has happened, and it has been something similar to what you've said.
Indeed, and now that is race currently stopped at the moment. Looks like, as I say, so Angelo still leads at the moment, but I don't know, we don't really seem to have the weather clearing up at all yet. It looks like we have some good drips in the actual glare, but it looks like... Oh, I thought he was coming in for a second there. He's not.
Oh, there is one car in the pits. That's the Red Bull of Finns. He is coming in.
Let's see what he goes on to. Has he got damage potentially?
Maybe. Or is he just putting on a fresh set of inters as well? Obviously, yeah, he's just... Yeah, just a fresh set of intermediates, really.
Fair enough.
Obviously feels
I wonder if he maybe was going for a gamble.
Yeah, obviously feels that 3 or 4 laps of fresh tyre could make the difference later on when potentially it goes from wet to dry. We don't know.
Who knows? It'll be interesting to find out, obviously, but knowing the fact at the moment that... So Angelo's gap has been mostly eroded at the moment. Obviously, Angelo didn't really have a chance to show his pace in the sprint race, obviously starting down near the back of the field, but at the moment he's probably in the best position in terms of being able to take advantage of. I know he's nowhere near. I think he's got a safe, secure third place in the standings. But what do you think will be going through his mind? Obviously, being in first place at his home Grand Prix.
I think the safety car hasn't really helped him, but yeah, he'll be. I think he'll be desperate to try and secure this race victory here at this moment in time, and obviously I'm pretty sure he's pretty close with Tom Gorian in the championship for P3, so he'll be desperate to get a good result, and yeah, obviously a race victory would do that no harm at all.
Indeed, obviously, knowing the fact that I believe I can actually tell you how many stand, I believe those two are indeed close on the standings in terms of. So, championship standings for those two, yes. So, Angelo's on 122.5 points in third, and Tom Gorian's on 117 in fourth.
Yeah, and
as Kirby's into the pits as well.
Kirby taking the fresh intros as well. So, is this maybe a sort of a dark horse move from the two that have come into the pits, or is it just maybe a preference of having the fresh tyres?
I mean, it is a free pit stop effectively.
That is true, yeah. Only losing a few positions really as well, so yeah, if the option's there, why not take it, I suppose.
Well, obviously we know that the wet tyres in this game can do, I think, a full 50% race distance. They won't be good at the end, but you'll be able to do it. I believe with the inters you do have to make a pit stop, because they will not do the entire distance unless you're a Sergio Perez tyre whisperer.
Yeah, so yeah, these drivers will obviously know what the weather's going to do a little bit better than we do. So maybe they're sort of bearing what they've seen on the forecast in mind. So yeah, I believe we're going to get the safety car in this lap. Yeah.
Yep, because I believe Kirby just caught up to safety car in time, but let's see how Angelo approaches this safety car restart, because obviously he is effectively now the leader of the pack for the safety car, and he can go whenever he chooses. He may well choose to go on the straight, or he may well go on the main straight. Let's see what does end up happening. Still bunching the pack up at the moment. It's important to get tire heat and temp into these tires to make sure that you have ideas. As he's caught Scott out, I think he has. He's caught Scott out. Oh, it's a little bit of a slide though, coming at the final corner. He has caught Scott out though.
He has done a pretty good job there off the restart. And yeah, that's pretty well done to Angelo there.
I'm going as well. He's still in fourth at the moment, but he does still have Vapid behind him. Those two have been kind of inseparable for a lot of these laps so far. It will be interesting to see how the battle plays out between those two. Obviously, maybe Vapid obviously depends on Pad versus wheel. It's going to be interesting to see how those two actually go. We know that yes, Scott has definitely been caught out by this.
Yes,
because
yeah, Angelo already getting more than a second's advantage to Scott, as we've got Fins taking
Senna and
already.
Fins, yep. Oh, it's a big moment from Fins as he comes out there. Maybe those tyres not full up to temperature yet, but he does keep hold of the position against XCR Senna, and it will be Kirby looking to make the move next up on the Mercedes driver. The only Mercedes driver left, however. Oh, he thought about the move up the inside there for a second, but does decide not to go for it.
Yeah, that is very much the case, and so it's a 1.6 second advantage already for Angelo in front, and then it is Button only
and
about 5 tenths
as they go into a
Scott, and for the podium positions as well. And then
oh, someone's wide.
Yep, the McLaren of Jinx, I think that was.
Yeah, that was Jinx who was wide. He's lost the position to Checo there in the process. So I did see a car off track there, just exploring the outer limits of the grass on the left hand side there, towards the Parabolica. At the moment though, as I say though, the Alfa Romeo driver Button still looking close at the moment. Scott does not seem to have. I wonder if he's running too low wings for the conditions.
Yeah, maybe he's maybe Scott's gone for a dry setup potentially here, and hoping for the conditions to dry up as soon as possible for him. And yeah, he does have Button not too far behind as well, so he does have to watch out for that. And I believe Vapid is right behind Tom Gorian here Is he going to make the
Yep,
move?
he's
Not
trying
quite.
it, but no. Is it? It does look like there isn't raindrops anymore. Maybe there's a few actually still, but it does look like they're lighting up a little bit.
Yeah, it does look like it's decreasing the amount of rain.
Oh!
Moment of rapid there. He just about.
That's going to allow normal
holds
Jinx
the car.
straight onto the back of him.
But yeah, he was looking to sort of possibly line up a move on the Alpine of Tom, but he's just, unfortunately for him, he's lost the car a little bit there.
Oh, Tom Gorian's almost dropped out of a second there from button in front. He just got back in again, but he almost dropped out there.
Yeah, has the Alfa Romeo button potentially gone for a
He has managed to break the date.
And that's
potentially. I mean,
what's giving him a good
he
advantage right now.
He dropped a couple of decisions off the start, but he's not really dropped anything more than that.
Yeah, it's maybe a thinking of trying to stay ahead of a lot of the drivers at the start of the race, and that'll give good track position for the second half maybe.
Oh, right behind them. It looks like there's a move up the inside though for Fins on Checo. So there is a move being done in towards
nice
turn one. That
there
was Fins getting past, yeah. Just seen the end of that. As Vapid he's still stuck behind Tom. He's fell out of a second, and now, well, if DRS does eventually get enabled, this is going to be a little bit of a train here forming behind the Alpine driver.
Yeah, that is true. I think what we're seeing here is potentially a sort of mix of the setups coming into play here, as we've got Angelo just about, give or take, about 2 seconds ahead of Scott now in the Haas. So Angelo is doing the job he sort of needs to do at this stage in the race.
Indeed. As I say, Angelo's 2.2 now, as he's now still keeping close at the moment. I did note one thing though when I was looking at Button, he didn't have much ERS deployment. And that's one thing with this track, is you got to be careful how much ERS, even in these conditions. It's very hard to get it back.
Yeah, that is true. I think it's a little bit easier in wet conditions, but yeah, as you say, it is difficult to get it back once you've sort of expended most of your energy. So yeah, that is obviously a thing to be wary of, as I think we could potentially be seeing some
normal Jinx is going to be closer to Vapid than what Vapid is to Tom. He's gone up the inside. He has almost no ERS either. He may well go for a double here, potentially, down the inside of both. He's going to be side by side, a little bit of a lock up there. Vapid is going to have the inside line for the next corner. However, it's going to be, not quite the traction. He's actually lost the position at Fins. That is very opportunistic from Fins in the Red Bull as he goes side by side into Curva Grande, and he's now going to try and go for a move up the inside of Vapid. He's going to get 2 for the price of 1 into the car in 1 lap.
Yeah, that was very opportunistic there from Fins. And is the battle between Vapid and Jinx going to resume now? Not quite into this corner, but potentially later on to the lap.
Yep, obviously it is purely slipstream and ERS deployment. It's all these drivers have at the moment. Obviously the DRS.
Jinx getting a much better exit there. Much better than Vapid.
Yeah. All the way around the outside. Clean move around the outside as well. Vapid's going to tuck in behind.
And that is, the championship leader down into 7th position now.
Obviously, he's got a fairly secure margin at the top of the championship. Obviously, Scott at the moment in P2 is doing what he needs to do to try and claw down the gap. But he really needs some misfortune for Vapid to actually have any chance of a championship here.
Yeah, that is true, and it's now a battle for P4 as Fins overtakes
he's
Tom.
got. Yeah, Tom had absolutely nothing there from the looks of it.
Yeah, but yeah, as you say, Vapid getting more of an advantage, because obviously last time out from the events of Canada, obviously Scott unfortunate with his incident there. But yeah, Vapid won't be panicking, because obviously, as you say, he does have that gap, so he'll just be going at his own pace and trying to see out the best of this weather really.
Indeed, still looks like though the weather at the moment, I still see a few raindrops, but it's still light. It doesn't look like we're gonna, there is a bit, the line is forming though.
Yeah, it does look like it is slowly starting to clear up. So yeah, potentially, is that going to be within the next maybe 5 or 10 laps, as it's a yellow flag.
That is XCR Senna at the back. He's got going again, though he's lost it in the same place he almost lost it in the 5-lapper sprint race. From the looks of it, but he's kept it going this time.
Yeah, at least he has, yeah, as you say, kept it going this time around. Yeah, we have Finn's closing
Finn's
right
now,
up
Finn's
to
is
back
on a
button.
charge.
Yeah, he is. Very much so.
He's going to get the move done fairly easily here. I shouldn't imagine. It looks like, oh, Vapid as well. There's a yellow at the back. There's Finn's making the move up the inside. As I believe we had a yellow for someone. I believe that was Normal Jinx. I don't know what's happened to Normal Jinx.
Into the pits as well. I didn't quite catch that, but yeah. As it's...
He got damage. He does have damage. He has no front wing.
Kirby and Checo, I believe, just gone side by side as well.
I have suspicions there's been a moment between Normal Jinx and Vapid potentially, because I wonder if there was some contact as they went into the final corner.
Maybe. I didn't see any myself, but yeah, that's potentially what has happened there.
But meanwhile, as you say, he's just forming back and behind. It looks like the gaps are starting to form up a little bit after the initial laps. Safety car's kind of done the complete opposite of what really I thought it would do, and it's just kind of, everyone's just kind of pulled away from each other.
Yeah, that is the case, and yeah, obviously the gap at the front is staying around that sort of 2 second mark, and yeah, we've got the closest battle really is...
It's Checo versus Kirby for its P7. Checo on 10-lap old intermediates, Kirby on 6-lap old tyres. It's a bit of a difference here. It looks like though Checo has got like half of the RS deployment of what Kirby does, and obviously Kirby having 4-lap younger tyres and a little bit wide coming out of corner. You got to be careful of particularly some of the corners here not getting warnings or for running over track limits that you think wouldn't actually be a problem.
Yeah, obviously track limits can indeed come into play as well, so obviously everyone's been pretty clean so far, but maybe that's going to be a thing to watch out as we go later to the race.
Yeah, indeed. And now the next target up, Finn's, is looking for a move on Scott. Scott is, I think Angelo, his piece is going to be, I think, disturbed fairly soon.
Yeah, he'll be sort of praying for Scott to try and defend from Finn as much as possible here, but is there going to be much that the Haas driver can do about this, really?
He is using his ERS deployment to try and get away from him. Finn knows this is not going to be as easy a fight as what he has had so far. Obviously, we know that the young New Zealand driver has a lot of pace and a lot of potential here. He's got, I think, a little bit less deployment than what Scott does. Yeah, about 20%, just under 20% less ERS than what Scott does, and obviously knowing the fact of no DRS is meaning this purely has to be done with slipstream and DRS deployment. So we can see we're looking back at this Haas of Scott. Finn's looking to get as close as possible. That Red Bull getting closer and closer. A little bit of movement from Scott to try and go to the inside. Finn thinks about it down the inside, but too far back.
Yeah, that is very much the case, but I think it's going to be, in terms of Finn's here, it's going to be always a little bit of a mistake coming out of turn 2 there, but he's just going to stay as close behind the Haas as he can and try and set up the move really, in his perspective, as close as soon as possible, as that's a big slide there from the Haas of Scott going through the chicane.
It's very easy to do in these conditions. Due to the nature, there's not a lot of like slow speed corners in this track. A lot of it is high speed. The low speed corners that you do have, sometimes the drivers are not always prepared for them.
Yeah, that is true, and yeah, obviously evident by that slide that Scott had there, and yeah, it's the top 3 are closing up pretty rapidly as well as the gap.
Oh yeah, I've noticed Scott has got under a second
now, yeah.
That's probably not the sight that Angelo wants to see at the moment, because there's a rapidly approaching Red Bull.
That is very true. I think, does Angelo want the track to dry up, or would he prefer it to stay as wet as possible? I don't really know what I would want.
Obviously, we never know what the drivers are running on setups.
Yeah. because yeah, I suppose it depends what setup each driver's put on really.
As I say, Scott's in a precarious position here. He needs to try and get as close as possible to Angelo in front, but he needs to make sure he keeps behind Finns, who is trying to go round the outside. That's a move that Scott was always going to have covered.
Yeah, he just about kept that fair racing there. So yeah, obviously nothing bad about that move there. Scott was perfectly entitled to position his car where he did, and yeah, Finns will have to sort of try again next time really.
As I say though, that has helped Angelo because the gap's over 1.2 seconds again.
Yeah, every time that Finn stays behind Scott is going to be something that will play into Angelo's hands as the race goes on really.
Indeed, Finn still is. He's practically at points pushing that Haas through the final corner. However, now Scott's going to have to use some battery here to keep himself ahead. The gap is under 0.3 of a second. Finns is going to go for it. He's going to be marshalled to the outside, or is he? Scott hasn't covered it. He hasn't left the inside covered. He's maybe going to go for the outside here, as it looks like Finns is up the inside. Is Scott going to fight this? He's a little bit deep. He's going to try and come back. He's going to get the great cut back here, side by side, and it's a great move.
Yeah, lovely switch back there from Scott as Finns just went a little bit too deep into the chicane there. As meanwhile,
he's talking about down the inside there. There's a yellow. That is Senna again, who's had a moment coming out of Ascari. Very easy to do as you go through there, but he is still going.
That is very true, and he will be getting points. So yeah. Hopefully for him he can stay in this race, and yeah, we now have Finns edging ever closer to the back of that Haas car.
Oh yeah, Scott as well. Scott's 7/10. That's low. Small that gap's been Senna's out. That's in pit lane though, I think.
Yeah, in the pit lane. So I don't think this is going to be any sort of safety car.
No, that is not going to be. So no points for Mercedes today.
Yeah, and a little bit of a moment there, I think, from Finns going through Ascari, but he's kept the car clean, and he's going to be trying to line up a move down this pit straight here.
The dirty air is not really helping Finns here at all. Like at this point, I don't know if dirty air exaggerated in these conditions, or is it not? You think?
I couldn't really answer that, if I'm honest. I'd like to, but I can't say I could accurately answer that, as Tom Gordon now comes into the pits.
Well, Vapid's also been in the pits. Yeah, Vapid's been in the pits recently. I believe it was the lap just before Tom went into the pit lane.
But it's going to be quite
close, I
believe
that's
between the two.
Yep.
Just looking on the track map there.
Oh, Vapid's going to have better tire. He's going to have heated tire temps, whereas Tom Gordon isn't. Yep, there's the moment I was expecting to happen. There's a 5-second penalty for corner cutting for Tom. He's obviously not slowed sufficiently.
Yeah, I think he might. Has he let
He has indeed let him go through.
And to potentially get that penalty removed after the race.
He probably could get that penalty removed after the race. I would assume he would probably get that done.
And just because he did let Vapid pass, that could maybe help him in getting the penalty removed.
Finns, meanwhile, is the closest he's been yet. He saved some ERS as well. It looks like the rain's picked up again.
You think? Yeah, I mean,
looking at the sky, I can see some more raindrops than what I could see earlier on.
Yeah,
Finns now is going to go for the move. He's going to get marshalled to the outside by Scott as he goes side by side in towards turn 1, using the battery to try and get round the outside. It's going to be a difficult move round the outside. Good move. Is he going to get it finished this time? He is going to try. He's going to have to cover the move. Oh, it is.
It's going to be a drag race.
Side by side. Yeah, side by side in towards Curva Grande. Who's going to come out on top? And I think Finns has finally got it done. He's going to have to cover the inside though, into the next corner. Scott's going to try and go around the outside. He's got it done.
Not enough space for Scott there, and Finns defends the position as well.
So he's kept hold of it. Now, Angelo is going to have his mirrors full.
Yeah, that is very true, and not the sight he's going to be wanting to see here as well, as he's going to have to defend with all his heart here.
I mean, it's an Italian on an Italian track. I'm going to expect some defence here from Angelo. I wonder if he saved a lot of ERS.
And
He does have slightly more
as well. Don't forget. So, yeah, a lot of Italianness going on here. But yeah, let's see if the defence prevails.
I mean, he's going to have to. I mean, Scott did the job of slowing him up for a few laps, but he's now almost fell out of a second as Scott. He's hanging on just about. But now, Vince, he's already clocked onto the back of him within, I think, about 2 or 3 sectors.
Yeah, very true. And I've not had a look at the energies, but do you think Angelo will have been saving his?
Angelo is on about. He's only on about 20%.
Oh, okay, so
he's on almost about the same.
Yeah, he's obviously had to be using it to try and keep the gap that he's got.
Yeah, it's definitely and now Scott is gone from slipstream range. I'm making any kind of a move, so Finns is on a charge. Obviously, I believe he started right at the back of the grid, so he's going for the first challenge here.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, and he's got a pretty decent exit out of the Lesmos as well, so maybe not a move into this next Sky corner, but we might potentially be expecting some action pretty soon.
Oh, look at the drive, look at the difference.
Yeah.
He's going to have to go around the outside, he's going to try it. He's not managed to get it though. I know that Angelo has no battery. Yep, he has nothing. He has almost nothing left, and Finns has about 30% of his ERS he can deploy here. Look at the grip difference.
Yeah, that is massive. And is Angelo pitting?
Angelo's into the pits.
He's pitting. He's going for the undercut potentially. So
Finns has pitted, so I don't know if he's going to have to stop again though.
I don't know. We'll have to find out as the race goes on, I think. But yeah.
So at this point, the race is kind of equalised out a little bit, because obviously we don't have that much really going at the moment, but it's going to be interesting to see now when people decide to pit, but I think we may well see. It looks like the rain is still coming down.
Yeah, so
at points in the track.
So has that pit stop under the safety car given the advantage to Finns, and then that's dries from Checo. Checo's on
That's
the
a bold call. This is going to be one to look at. Let's see if he has any grip coming out.
Oh,
no, he hasn't.
No, he's not.
No, he hasn't. That's a mistake.
Yeah. I don't know if that's been a deliberate
He's
choice or a mistake.
Yeah. I'll excuse him for the pit lane exit there, because I don't think he meant to do that. He does not have enough grip yet. This is not enough yet. He's struggling to brake, I think. I don't know if he's making corners. Yeah, he is crawling through corners. However,
so that's
is it dry enough?
That's sort of proving to us that we're not yet at that stage where the track's dry.
I mean, this could be a masterstroke of a strategy if he manages to pull this off.
I mean, it would be, but the way this game goes, I don't think it dries up that quickly, if I'm honest.
Well, Kirby from 4th is into the pit lane, 15 laps on those tyres. He's coming again.
Yeah.
This is his second stop. What's he going on? Another set of intermediates.
Okay. Interesting choice there.
Rapid does indeed jump him, where it was kind of to be expected there.
Yeah,
as well as
he
teammate.
was on fresher tyres than the likes of Scott and Button, who have gone. I think they've not stopped
Very
yet,
low.
if I'm right.
No, they have not. No, Vince has stopped. He stopped under the first safety car. Scott and Button have not.
So are they waiting as long as possible for potential either? Well, I don't know if the track's going to dry up though. So are they waiting for a safety car, or are they trying to take the inters the entire race?
I mean, Angelo, this could be a masterstroke. He's got 17 seconds to the car in front, and he is closing in. You can see the see the delta coming down.
Yeah, I mean, if the drivers ahead do have to come into the pits, that
Ooh,
could indeed, as you
that's
say, be a
that is
master
Checo with
strategy
a penalty
if
there.
that
I
does
can.
work out like that.
Yeah, I think Checo's strategy has backfired there.
Yeah.
He's losing about a second, maybe 2 seconds a lap.
Yeah, it's
It's
just
not really worked out for him.
it's just too wet for the dries at the moment.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not really worked out for the Aston Martin driver.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, but yeah, we're sort of seeing. Oh, I just saw a little bit of a mistake from the Alfa Romeo button going into the second chicane, but he's kept it in a straight line. And is it those tires just going off the cliff really?
20 laps on those tyres at
Yeah.
this point for both Button and Scott. That's definitely going to be, those tyres are going to be starting to scream soon. Even
Yeah.
Finn's tyres will probably start to scream soon as well. I'm
Potentially,
looking
yeah.
at that gap coming down. Look at the gap.
Yeah. I mean, if we look at the gap for the leader, it's 23 seconds between Finn's and Angelo, P1 to P4.
Oh, yellow.
That's a yellow.
That's Button.
Yep. And
He's lost it coming out of a
yeah,
Ascari.
running in a podium place as well, and that's not going to help his cause, unfortunately.
I think he might
takes
have
the
wing
position.
damage off of that as well. No, he's
Yeah.
managed to get away with it. I think he's just spun, but those tyres are dead.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate there. He's obviously tried to take the tyres as long as he can, but it's unfortunately just not worked out for the Alfa Romeo driver here.
Indeed. 5 laps to go. 18 seconds as Button is into the pits. 18 seconds between Scott and Angela. This is a big ask.
Yeah.
Oh, there is. So Checo has gone back onto intermediates again. He's realised his mistake.
Yeah. I think it was. He had nothing to lose, to be fair, but it was just, unfortunately, just a little bit too early to be thinking about the dry tyres. And I think, yeah, now the big question is, are the tyres of the leaders going to last?
I think it's more of a worry for Scott than it is for Finn.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the lines he's taken. I'm looking at Scott's inputs. He doesn't look like he's struggling so much. Maybe he's been a little bit more smoother with the tyres, but
Yeah.
there doesn't look like as much really. It looks like they're almost slick intermediates at this point.
Potentially. I'm not sure if the game's gonna do that as realistic to that, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong and it is the case. But yeah.
17.7 seconds.
I think with 4 or 5 laps to go, I think it would be too late in the race for a pit stop unless the tyres really fall off here.
A little bit of traffic though for Angelo. He's got to worry about Checo, who obviously will be lapped now. There goes the Aston Martin there. Obviously that's what the yellow flag will be for, is Aston Martin gets out of the way there. But to note though that Vapid and Tom are not that far behind, even though they are on older tyres.
Yeah, yeah, they do have a bit of a gap, as you say, but yeah, they've got a little bit more age to their tyres, and they'll be hoping to finish the race on a strong note.
I'm not sure if these tyres. Scott's not losing that much time.
No.
He's not losing that much lap time. He's only 3/10 off in the middle sector for his personal best.
He's losing a little bit of time to Finns, but nothing dramatic that would suggest that he needs to pit right now. So I think he's going to be taking these tyres to the end potentially.
I mean, those tyres are going to be absolutely. He's coming
pitting.
in.
Yeah.
Is he trying to maybe force Fins into a pit stop? This is going to be curious to know if Angel's going to come out ahead.
Let's have a look.
Well, I mean, he's gone that long.
Oh,
he's going to come out ahead.
Is it that soft? It is soft.
That's soft.
Okay.
Okay, so is the track
decision.
ready? Is the track ready? This is an important question. He does have more grip. Like immediately at the gap, he didn't seem to struggle as much.
He's come out just alongside Tom Gorian, so that's going to be a good indicator.
Oh, he's not struggling.
As,
He doesn't look like he's struggling for
yeah,
grip.
as to what
grip,
the best
rather.
tires are. Let's
That is
have a
good
look
traction
here.
off the corner.
Fastest lap for Button there on the intermediates. Obviously
26.4.
quite fresh ones as well.
Now,
so.
this is the big call here. Scott is not losing time. He's not losing as much time as we think he would. Oh, that is. He has slowed down sufficiently though.
He's
So
lost a second or two there.
he lost 2 seconds.
Yeah.
From the looks of it. That's a big mistake there with only 3 laps to go. But and Finn's now. I wonder if Finn's will respond this lap.
He does. He's
He is.
Yep. So
this is a big call. Now, is Angelo going to come in this lap, or is Angelo going to opt to carry on? Ooh, Tom Gorian, there's a 3-second time penalty for
Finn's
him.
Going for he is going dries. Finn's going for softs. Okay.
Oh, this is okay. He's going to come at just ahead, isn't he? This is going to be close as they come towards the first corner.
Stay out here, because if he pits, he's not going to close the gap. So his best chance. And does he take the lead?
Oh,
yes,
he's got it.
He takes the lead. So it's going to be intermediates versus softs here on the last 3 laps, and which of the 2 compounds is the better one to be on right now? As Tom pits as well, he goes on to. Oh, he's serving his penalty as well, so that's
Going to be the 5-second penalty there for the.
And
yeah, he'll probably get that back at the end. Oh, it's a 5-second for Button in the pit lane.
Oh, that is unfortunate.
He's coming in for soft as well. Angelo's carried on. I think, no, the gap's not coming down yet.
The track's drying up a lot now over these last sort of laps or 2.
Oh, this is a big gamble now for, I thought, yeah, Angelo. He looks like he has the gap at the moment. At this point, it's a gamble. Look at the track though.
So, what is he going to do here? This is a big call.
Oh, yellow.
That's a yellow, and that is Tom, I think.
Is that Tom Gorian?
Yeah. He's had some sort of...
Yep, that's the softs.
Yeah.
At turn 1, he's had an incident at turn 1. He's going to be probably overtaken here by Button, obviously. I do believe he's got wing damage. He's got wing damage on the left-hand side.
Okay, let's see what Angelo does here. He is staying out.
He's carrying on.
Yep. So is this
it's the fastest lap.
Yep. So is this the race-winning strategy, potentially staying out on the intermediates? It's going to be a fascinating end to this race, really. Because I think Finn's has made a mistake into the chicane, and he's lost a little bit of time there as well.
Him, though. No, he has caught up a little bit.
And Vapid, he's stayed out on inters as well. So can he grab himself 2nd position, maybe? Or is it going to dry up in this last sort of lap and a half?
The thing is, though, at this point, it's a gamble, though, but the people in inters, it's worth staying out now.
At this point, you need to stick to what you've chosen with, because pitting now is just going to lose you a heap of time, obviously, and so yeah, who's made the best call here?
Angelo at the moment, it's 3.1 seconds. The gap's closing now.
It's closing, but it's not quite
not going to be
enough. I don't think it's quite enough.
It's finally dry enough. It's finally got to the point of dry. Finn's is now closing in. I'm going to look at that gap close, but it's not closing enough.
Yeah. This is fascinating on the final lap here, just about. And yeah.
Oh! I think I almost saw him lose the back end there, unless that was a moment there for Finn's. He was catching briefly, but look at, I think, yeah, there's a fast lap for Finn's.
So
25.5.
Can he catch a 3-second gap and pass in one lap?
One lap.
I
That's
doubt
a big
it,
ask even for Finn's.
But
2.7 he got the gap down to there. It's now back over 3 seconds again. At this point, Angelo just has to not do anything stupid, and he's got this in the bag.
He needs to be maximum concentration. Obviously, no corner cuts at all as well, so that's another thing for him to worry about right now. And yeah, he just needs to drive like he has done this whole race, really.
Indeed, as Fins is catching, but he's caught half a second. It's not going to be enough though.
Yeah, it's not going to be enough.
Meanwhile though, and I think unless the camera, can you not please? Thank you. Okay, but that's sorted out. I haven't reviewed those glitches recently. Angelo, on home turf, he's going to survive, I think, just. And it's going to be, the Ferrari fans are going to be up in the air in the stands, because it's going to be a Ferrari win at Monza, I think, and it's going to be his first win of the season. He said he might not get it this season, but Angelo is going to win here at Monza.
Yeah, he'll be so delighted with that, and yeah, it's a very much a deserved victory for the Ferrari driver, and yeah, it's a drive that he should be very proud with.
I can imagine there'll be a lot of grazie in that cockpit there for Angelo, obviously the Italian-born Swiss living, I believe it is, for him, but I believe it is his first win of the season. He wasn't sure if he'd ever get a win coming into this season, but he has managed it.
He has indeed, and yeah, as you said, very much a deserved victory, and DRS is now enabled as the checkered flag has already come out.
The race, yep. Indeed. So it's good. I think it's going to be Button who maybe takes. Nope, Button does indeed that 5-second penalty to not be unserved penalty. Won't really affect though, as Tom Gorian is going to come through to finish P8. But that was that turned in from a very close race into a very strategic race.
Yeah, it was very intriguing those last few laps, and I definitely did not know which strategy was going to win, but yeah. It's a victory for Angelo and the Ferrari.
Yep. All the chants from the Tifosi will be coming from the track while he steps out onto the podium in the Ferrari. He takes victory here with SFR Fins coming second from the back of the grid. Good drive from him. And it is going to be Vapid once again. Very consistent points finishing from him, finishing ahead of his rival. I'm going to ask you this question because it's going to be a difficult one. Who is your driver of the day?
I think, in my view, I've got to give it to Angelo for the race victory. It was a very good drive all around, and yeah, he made what turned out to be the race-winning decision of staying out on the inters. So yeah, in my view, it's got to be Angelo for driver of the day.
And I'm going to be inclined to agree with you, because even though Fins, it's going to be a close second for you, getting 11th to second in the grid. But for once, because obviously I believe Fins got driver of the day last week, it is going to be Angelo who takes driver of the day, and the victory here from second on the grid. Started on the front row, who will win here in Monza alongside Fins. Good drive from him from P11 on the grid from the back row. It's going to be Vapid to finish off the podium from P6, with Scott just off the podium and probably losing more points to his rival Vapid in the championship than it's going to be Kirby, the highest Alpine finish, with Jinx in P6. I believe he wasn't actually here for most of the race, so everyone will be bumped up one position. Button will then finish in P6, with Tom going in P7, Checo in P8, and it will be P9 for normal Jinx, who will be the last finish, and then it was both of the Mercedes who did not finish the race.
Indeed so, and yeah, a very exciting race for us there, and yeah, look forwards to the next one next time out.
I believe the next race up is indeed gonna be, I actually think, just before we go, we should, I know it's not podium questions, but we're gonna get a few words, if I can find him, from the, if I can find his name in the list. There he is. It's not podium questions as such, but just a few words from the race victor. Wait for him to join first of all. Wait a second. Find where you find the cars from in this game again. That's not what I want. I'm trying to find the...
Hello.
Hello. I'm just trying to find where you find the actual setting for the cars again. Why can I never find it? Well, we're going to have to leave it on that just now, because I was going to put the Ferrari car on screen, but... Well, there is only 2 words I think that are probably coming out, will probably be saying by you, but with the end of that race, well, just a few words from yourself. Obviously, you said yourself that you would never win a race this season, but I think that is, well, that's going to be forgotten about now. If you've got your audio included to make sure everyone can hear you. People can't hear you for some reason. You're not coming up on the stream. No. Just untick and then retick again.
Now?
See if it works. Yep, I can hear you now. Yeah, that's fine. For some reason it wasn't coming the first time. Yes. Grazie di grazie. Yes. Ferrari win on home turf. Fair enough. As I say, you managed to get get the job done. Indeed. Congratulations on the victory. And that's helped you in the standings in comparison with Tom Gorian. Anyway, just thought we'd get a few words there. Hopefully that was all caught up, because sometimes Twitch is a little bit weird with the way things work and all that. But that's going to be round number 19 in the bag for RFL. We will be back with round number 20. I believe only 4 rounds left in the season. And next round will take us to the US and the second US race of the season. It is going to be COTA. So, going to be interesting to see how that all shapes up. And thank you very much, Cal, for joining us, and Angelo as well for giving us a few words. And it will be down to me just to say we look forward to seeing you in the United States for the second race in the RFL this season.
Yeah, thank
No
you,
problem,
and
Angelo.
yeah, congratulations to Angelo on the victory.
And we will round up there. So, it is good night.